Hello everyone, my name's Ben and welcome back to PASSTHEauxCORD, a channel where, believe it or not, it's 3:45 right now, but it's gloomy as all hell outside, so therefore it's a little dark in here. Not turning on that overhead light though, because fuck that. But today we are going to be talking about the No Old Music Challenge, the challenge that I was doing here on this channel. I meant to keep people a little bit more up to date on how it was going, so on and so forth, but really only ended up mentioning it in a couple of videos during this whole time. So we're gonna do an entire recap video of the thing and how it went. I meant to do this sooner. I actually stopped yesterday. I added an additional day onto it, but we're getting around to it now. Better late than never, I suppose. And if you're by any chance unaware of the concept, I have another video up on it on the channel already, but for the last 2 weeks before yesterday, I had not listened to any music during that time period that I already knew. So everything that I listened to, musically speaking, was completely new to me. Now, I did end up adding an extra day onto it because while I was at work, I had to hear a few songs that I knew because we have a radio playing overhead in the speakers. So I ended up hearing some songs that I knew, and that was sort of an unintentional cheat, something I didn't expect going into this. I didn't anticipate that, I guess I should say. I should have expected it because I was going to work and that's just how it is. But we play some
strangely obscure stuff.
It's kind of stuff that's more under the radar than regular radio. I guess it's just a playlist that the store gets or something to that degree. I'm not really sure quite how it works, but either way, it's a lot of like indie stuff and some like alternative pop and whatever. But either way, I definitely heard a Phoebe Bridgers song on there. I heard a Tame Impala song on there, and both of those I was like pretty sure that I heard them, but you know, things are going on while I'm at work. I'm working a restaurant job. It's a little chaotic anyways, but I wasn't even gonna count those. But what I definitely heard was Do I Want to Know by the Arctic Monkeys. How ironic, am I right? That was on our playlist for the month. Heard that song at least a couple of times. I think it was 2 different occasions while I was at work that I heard that. So yeah, I had to add an extra day on. That was a bit unfortunate, but I guess with it being a day after, I think it's okay that I waited because I've got some opinions I want to share on this experiment that I did. I guess the main thing is, did it work? Does all of the music that I loved from before sound much better now? And the answer to that is yes and no. And from this, I would like to throw the personal recommendation out here that if you start getting tired of something, put that specific thing down for like a month, 2 weeks at least, I would say. Just ignore it for a long time. Forget something exists that you really like, especially if you own it like on a physical copy, because then sooner or later you're gonna stumble upon it again. And just get rid of anything that you start to get tired of from your like initial headspace and then come back to it at a much later date, because with this 2 weeks in between, some of the stuff that I was growing tired of does definitely sound better than when I had last heard it before I started this challenge. The Money Store by Death Grips was one of the first things I came back to, as many people would anticipate, I suppose, and that was a great time. I would say the same thing for The New Abnormal by The Strokes. I have both of those on vinyl, spun them right away, had a great time with it, and yeah, that was something, both of those were things that I needed a break from for sure. There's other examples in here that I don't think I should have deprived myself from listening to for any reason. To go back to the Phoebe Bridgers example, I actually really wanted to listen to her last album this entire time a whole bunch, but I haven't even listened to that record in double-digit amounts, I don't think. It's one of my favorites of the year, so I've came back to it since, and it didn't do anything for me to deprive myself of music that I didn't know that well to begin with. So, like I said, my personal recommendation, if you start getting tired of something, don't just do what I did and drop all of the music you know. Just drop that one specific thing for a little while, come back to it at a later date, and it'll probably be much better. And the other main intention of this was to discover new music. So, did that end of it work? Well, yes and no again. Life came up, as it does. Life came up a whole bunch of times, and there were a lot of times when I wasn't necessarily home. I would be on my way to work, doing other things, even just going for a drive, and what I ended up doing during these times is just not even listening to music at all. I would throw on a podcast or something, and the main reason for that being, I don't want my first impression of any music to be either through my wireless earbuds. They don't sound the greatest. They're just there. They are what they are. I usually listen to YouTube videos on those or things like that I'm not necessarily worried about the sound quality, or my really shitty car stereo speakers from 1995. Both of those things I'm not necessarily interested in playing music through for the first time. No, of course, I didn't just give up music for this 2 weeks entirely. I still listened to a lot of stuff during this, and of course I did have to listen to something new every time. Essentially what I ended up doing is diving into vaporwave, as you saw in that video, and also 90s hip-hop. For some reason that was what I gravitated towards this entire time, and now I feel like I'm a fucking expert in the genre or something. So I guess that's one benefit from this, is I did definitely explore some new music, but I didn't even do the shoegaze and noise music videos that I planned on doing. I'm still gonna do those, but it's gonna be outside of the challenge. Part of the point was to put them in there, but it didn't even end up happening like that. The point is, life comes up, and sometimes it's much easier to just not listen to music than listen to something new, and that's not something I necessarily anticipated going into this. So a better way to go about that aspect of it would be to just set yourself a goal and listen to that many new albums in a day, in a week, so on and so forth. An idea I had is maybe in the future, for 2 weeks, I listen to 3 new albums a day, and then give you a recap of all of them at the end of the 2 weeks. I mean, let me know what you think of that, but obviously that would be forcing myself directly to listen to new music. So setting a goal for discovering a certain amount of new albums, projects, whatever, genres even, if you wanted to go that far with it, every day, every week, every month, or something like that, would be a much better way to go about it than this, where it's just kind of free form as to how many you end up listening to. Because really, I didn't listen to anywhere near as much music that I didn't know during this time period than I thought I would. So overall, I guess don't deprive yourself of music. I don't feel like you really need to do that unless you're starting to get really tired of something that was once one of your favorites. I think put that one thing down and come back to it later and it'll sound much better. And as far as discovering new music, yeah, just do that. I don't see any reason to put this into a challenge again. This was something that, you know, was a bit of a learning experience, and I still feel like I got something out of it. It was interesting, but yeah, that's about all I have to say about this experiment coming to a conclusion here. So did any of you do this with me? I'm not really sure. I don't know if I saw anybody commenting below saying that they were going to do anything like that. But if not, are you planning on doing it? Are you going to give it a shot despite what I had to say about it? Anything like that, if you've done something similar, share that below. I'm really interested to hear people's thoughts on this. Also, let me know if you want me to do that thing where for 2 weeks I have to listen to a certain amount of albums or something like that. Let me know if that's an interesting idea to any of you at all. But that's all I got for this one. So drop a like on the video if you did like what you saw today. Subscribe to the channel for more music-related content coming your way. Hit the bell for notifications on that same thing as well. I have a Twitter linked in the description below. You can go follow me on there for updates and some other shit from time to time that I decide to post up. But that is just about going to wrap it up for this one, and I will see you in the next video.